The human base on the outer rim of the galaxy was supposed to be a temporary structure. Soldiers were assigned rooms, tight schedules, and strict rules. It was not a place for surprises. But that night, something happened that would change everything. He had just returned from patrol. The hallway lights flickered slightly as the storm outside pressed against the dome. The planet was quiet, mostly forest, but tensions with the local alien kingdom made every soldier alert. He walked into his room, not expecting anything unusual. He opened the door, tired and ready to collapse on the bed. But someone was already there. She was standing in the corner of the room, barely moving, her body half wrapped in a soft, silvery cloak. Her hair was deep violet, falling past her shoulders, and her eyes, large and glowing faintly, looked startled as she saw him. She seemed small, nervous, almost frozen. He recognized her from the peace talks. She was the youngest daughter of the alien king. Rumors said she rarely spoke, rarely left the palace, and never came near humans. Yet here she was, standing silently in a human soldier's room, like a shadow that had taken form. For a moment, neither of them moved. She tried to speak, but no words came. Instead, she looked at him, her lips trembling slightly. He didn't know what to say either. Was she lost? Hiding? Was this a mistake or something more dangerous? He asked her why she was there. She hesitated. Then she stepped forward slowly, holding out a small crystal pendant in her hand. Her fingers were shaking. He didn't understand the meaning of the object, but she placed it on the table gently and sat down on the floor like she had no strength left. She said she got lost. She had been walking through the halls, trying to avoid something. Her voice was soft, almost like a whisper. She didn't look up when she spoke, just stared at the floor as if ashamed. He asked if she wanted him to call someone, but she shook her head quickly, eyes wide with panic. She didn't want to go back. That confused him. She was royalty, a princess, protected, respected, but her eyes said something else. They weren't the eyes of someone powerful. They looked tired, scared, and deeply alone. She looked around the room like it was a foreign world, but safer than anything she knew. He offered her water, unsure what else to do. She took it with both hands and whispered thank you. There was something fragile about her, like she was afraid of even breathing too loudly. As the storm outside continued, she stayed on the floor, legs tucked under her, silent. He asked again if she wanted to leave. Again, she said no. This time she added something else. She said softly that she wanted to stay. Not for the night. Not for an hour. She wanted to stay here. With him. He was stunned. He asked her why. She looked up at him for the first time with more than fear in her eyes. There was something hidden, something like pain. She said no one ever listened to her in the palace. She said she was always watched, always judged. She was expected to be perfect, to act with grace, to stay silent unless spoken to. She didn't want to be a princess anymore. When she was younger, she had once watched humans from far away. They laughed. They cried openly. They said things without fear. She had never been allowed to do that. Everything in her life had been scripted, and she felt like a ghost trapped in a beautiful cage. Tonight, she had walked out. No one noticed. No one stopped her. She wanted the base, confused, unsure, and finally pushed open a door. His door. She hadn't known where she was going, only that she didn't want to go back. He asked her if she understood the risk. Her father could declare war if he knew. She nodded, but her voice didn't shake when she said she didn't care anymore. He didn't know what to do. She wasn't just anyone. She was someone who could be the key to peace or war. But she didn't speak like a princess. She spoke like someone broken, like someone who had finally chosen herself over a title. The night grew deeper. She fell asleep on the floor, her head resting on her arms. He watched her, still unsure. In the morning, he thought she would leave, that this was all a moment of escape. But she didn't leave. She stayed. She started cleaning the room. She folded the thin blankets on the bed, arranged a few things he had on the shelf. She didn't talk much, but her presence changed the air around him. Over the days, she opened up slowly. She told him stories of her childhood, how she used to sneak away into the gardens to hide from her tutors, how her father never looked at her without seeing duty, how she had once tried to run but was caught and punished for dishonoring the royal name. She smiled when she spoke about the stars. She said she used to watch them from the tower and imagine what freedom would feel like. She didn't want luxury. She wanted truth. And she said that truth was here, in this small room, with someone who didn't want anything from her. He listened. He began to see her not as a princess, but as someone like him, lost in a world full of expectations. Someone who had never been allowed to feel small or scared or curious. Now, in this strange moment, she was all those things, and he didn't want to take that away. The base started noticing something was different. Whispers spread, but no one had proof. She never left the room except late at night, silent and hidden. The pendant she had brought glowed faintly on the table. He still didn't know its meaning. One night, he asked her again, "Why him? Why his room?" She looked at him for a long time before answering. She said when she opened the door that first night, he didn't react with fear or anger. He simply looked at her like she was real, not royal, not alien, just someone standing there, unsure. No one had ever looked at her like that before. She said she had never felt more seen than in that moment. The next day, things changed. A message came from her family. They were searching for her. A unit would arrive in 3 days. She heard it too. Her hand began to shake again, but this time her eyes were steady. She told him she wouldn't go back. He asked what that meant. She said she would disappear, go into the forest, live alone if she had to. She didn't want to be found. Not again. He looked at her, saw the way her hands clenched tightly in her lap, and realized something. He didn't want her to disappear. He didn't want to go back to silence either. He told her something then. He said if she wanted to stay, truly stay, he wouldn't let her do it alone. Her eyes filled with tears. For the first time, she cried openly without hiding her face. No one had ever offered her something without asking for something in return. No one had ever said, "I will stay too." The night before her people were to arrive, they left together, through the back gates, into the trees, into the unknown. Soldiers would search, but they wouldn't find them. He left everything behind, his rank, his orders, his world, because she had once stood at his door, trembling and silent, and asked to stay. And now, he was answering with the only word that mattered. Yes,